just going to do a quick intro and ask you guys to introduce yourselves as well. So my name's Kaitlin, and I run Crypto Mondays London, which is an organization dedicated to education and sort of, I don't know, dealing with, just onboarding people and education. And I also work for Kudos in the events category. Guys?
Hi, I'm Wayne Marcel. I head up growth for FIO Protocol. Just been a long time educator in the space, focusing on onboarding people. I finally broke down and jumped into the space in 2016, and since then have been focusing on what does it take to onboard new people and get people to realize the power of this technology.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Williams. I go by Articulate. I'm a recording artist. I do reggae music. I'm also a Web3 pioneer. I kind of put a halt on my music to dive into the space and learn everything that needs to be learned about it, master the space so I could create something and create solutions for other musicians. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So I think we can all agree that one of the biggest obstacles to mass adoption is lack of education. And so I'm excited today to talk about the impact, that education has on the adoption of NFTs. So guys, I'd be really interested to hear just sort of what your opinion is on the current state of education surrounding NFTs.
Um, what I see today is, there's definitely a need for NFT education or just education about, blockchain technology in general. A lot of people have been coming into the wrong information and have been, getting wrecked in the space. And I think that there's a need for, proper outlets with the right information for people to be able to access them so they could make better decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a need for all of the projects, everybody to work together to educate people on what NFTs are, what they're not, how they can be utilized, because that's what I was at an event. It was early 2018, last bear market, and standing in line, somebody actually told me about NFTs and showed me something in their wallet. And as I was a card collector as a kid, it just clicked. And then I went down that rabbit hole of all the potential. And I think NFTs get a bad rap because of the rug pulls. And it's no different than crypto, right? There's a lot of, anybody can create a project, whether it's cryptocurrency or whether it's an NFT. And being able to have a standard to identify what those are, what are the good projects, and I think it's going to be the ones that are also going to educate their users on what this is, why it's important, and how can you use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want to add anything?
Oh, no, that.
And I think in terms of NFTs having a bad rap, that's a really good point. And I think from an educational standpoint, what are some ways that we can improve the mainstream view of NFTs?
You know, it's funny, we've had quite a few of these conversations over this week where we got to figure out what that path is. Do we just stop calling it an NFT, the technology that's behind it, and just call it what it is? Is it an access token? Is it a utility? Is it a membership?
Digital assets.
Digital access, possibly, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, but it does get a bad rap, and I think being able to show. I mean, we were just listening to Pigeons of New York. He was talking about before this talk, and that's creating true utility and educating new people. That we need more of that for people to understand. And you go to most cities and towns, I think most people haven't even sat through any kind of a quick tutorial workshop on the basis of what is an NFT and how can you use it. And I think when we see more of that, we'll see more positive light brought to NFTs.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying because the fact of the matter is there's not any real like grassroots presence by say like even major companies right now. We're all building and we're all speaking this language up here, but people like regular people are not. They're not educated enough. They don't know. It's new. They're intimidated by verbiage or maybe just the newness of things, and they're not willing to take that first step as yet. So I think that if we kind of dial it back a little from the technical stuff, I think as we continue to build and as we continue to provide solutions, we already have had successes with that. But I think that there's opportunity where we could, get to more people in terms of having strategies to connect with those people and get them into our ecosystems.
I would agree with all of that, but I would also add on an even more basic level, just sort of dispelling some of the common misconceptions, right? Like, I think people argue very often that, or they think it's just for art, like you said, or they think it's bad for the environment, which is a valid concern. But there are solutions in place. There are carbon neutral, carbon negative layer ones. There's things that we can do to help dispel some of these myths, or even just that it's just a trend, it's just a buzzword. That's something that I hear a lot too. So Wayne, in our discussions, Wayne brought up actually that who was the quote by that you?
Oh, it was Gary V, basically.
Gary V. Okay, who said even small businesses will need an NFT strategy. So what needs to happen to get us to that point?
Yeah, it's funny. So we were debating this yesterday because whether it's NFT or a total Web3 strategy, every business, I'm not talking about every crypto project, every Web3 project, every company, every small business needs to have some kind of strategy to engage in this Web3 space, whether it's your digital, like you have a shop, a physical shop. Do you have a digital twin of that shop in a metaverse somewhere where people can shop? Do you have an NFT strategy to engage with your fan base, your customer base? And you think about it, I mean, I helped a yogurt shop create an NFT strategy just for a customer loyalty program. And it's really getting past the fact that people think NFTs are just, you mint them and you sell them to a community. Not every NFT has to be bought and sold. It could be given away for free, and you create more value in your community, and that could generate more income. The guy that taught me about NFTs in that line in 2018 gave away thousands of NFTs between 2018, 2019, and by 2020, he was living a full-time life just off of the secondary market commissions from those NFTs he gave away. So that's the strategy, and not everyone has to have that strategy, but it's a new way to engage directly with consumers. Even the drop an NFT in someone's wallet. So you hold my loyalty NFT, and I got a promotion I want you to know about. I'll drop an NFT into your wallet that tells you about this promotion that's going on. So that's kind of where I feel every company or business should be identifying that. Just like 20 years ago, we said every business is going to need to have a website, and it seemed crazy to most people, but where are we today?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not so. I don't know. I just don't think. I think that if the strategy, if an NFT strategy aligns like with your business objectives, okay, fine. But I don't necessarily agree that every single business needs an NFT strategy. I'm still not sold on that. Aaron, thoughts?
I I believe that yes, it may be a hybrid, because as we do venture more out into Web3, we're definitely going to have more Web3, Web2 solutions until we fully go onto Web3. So yes, we're definitely going to need strategies where it regards to solving problems using the blockchain that weren't possible before. And that's the beauty about DLT technology and blockchain and NFTs is that we get to go into an area that we were, keeping away from because we weren't able to, tackle those problems before. But with this technology, I believe that we are going to be able to do more, as Wayne said, be able to interact more with our customers, create that engagement that we weren't able to do before in this way. And yes, there are going to be some companies that, still need to, work through their Web 2 to get to the Web 3, but until then, yes, I believe that in some way, shape, or form, we're all going to be interacting with the blockchain and with DLT, especially through banks, because payments is one of the first ways that we're converting. And if we're doing payments, then everybody's definitely going to be interacting, or So I think that if you look at it that way, if not now, but in the future, yes, everyone definitely will.
I'll give you one example. This is probably a horrible example because some people don't even agree with this business model, but I was talking to someone that was a taxidermist. And imagine they create a piece for someone because they get the animal, they have to create it into,
A bespoke request for something.
Well, imagine
Like a
making a 3D image, a digital twin of that can live in someone's wallet because not everyone goes to their home. And wallets are going to be social aspects. Like we're going to show what NFTs we have and what, you can connect that. You can see what's in there. So having these rare collectibles or this unique item, it's just something else. It's not going to drive millions of dollars of business to this one business, but it's just another way to add another layer to the customer experience to where when you're talking about customers or clients, it's not so much just about what they got from you; it's the experience they had. How did you make them feel? And you just add another layer to engage. It just opens up a lot more opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's a powerful marketing tool. And your points about the website is an interesting one because you're right in the sense that almost every company or business has a website. Um, right. So yeah. So moving on, there's the intersection between regulation. And I love this question because regulation has been a very hot topic lately. Between regulation and education, and how can regulators and policymakers have a clear understanding of NFTs and the pros and cons of using them?
Mm, regulations. Now, this is, you know, because of the technology and what it can do, the decentralization. Regulation definitely is going to come from a global aspect. It's not going to be localized. Definitely going to have localized variations to that, but we're going to definitely be coming together on regulations and whatever that looks like in the future. Whether it makes us more liberal in terms of freedom or whether it's more restrictive, that's to be decided. But I think that as we educate ourselves on the current trends and on the current situation with that, we can, as I said before, provide spaces or portals where people can find that information, because you don't want to be having a situation where people are out there, doing just whatever and getting themselves in trouble because there's no like real way to know if you're doing the right thing or not, to know if you're on the right side of the law. And with this technology, and when that time comes, I think that we'll definitely have more, of an understanding of what that is. But until then, I think that we should all just pay attention to everything, every news coming out of the space, because these updates come every second. There's always something, there's always some activity going on, and you always want to be on top of that. So I think that as people that are building projects, developers, or whatever team you're a part of, I think that that should be a point of interest, or an important part of what your strategy is. You should always pay attention to what regulations, what current regulations are, and educate yourself and teams on that. And as thought leaders in the space, I think that we can just try to do more, and putting that information to the front, or speaking more on it, and getting that education across.
Yeah, so I mean, that also goes back to education, because what are most policymakers and people that are in the position to be able to vote on these regulations that are going to come out, if they've got a negative perception of NFTs as just rug pulls or investment that should be deemed securities, then they're going to try to pass regulation that way. I think we need a blueprint, at least in the U.S., every state, and then in other countries, same as well. I've got some friends at the Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain Association, FBBA, and Sam that runs that, he lobbies constantly for positive legislation when it comes to the crypto space, and we need to do the same thing, lumping in the NFT education as well, and we need something like that in every area, because what they do a lot is educate those that are going to be in the position to vote, to propose policies and regulations and vote on them, to have a better understanding of the tech. So when they understand, and some of it could just be getting some of them together and doing like a minting, showing them how it can be used if they own a business as well, or if they work in a business, how the utility can be accessed and the benefit of it to kind of offset that negative perception of what they know of. It's someone took a cartoon profile picture, generated 10,000 different images and minted them just to sell as a money grab. What's the true utility? And that's what we got to teach. We've got to teach policyholders as well, because you can see it right now, especially in the U.S. when some of the well-known politicians talk about crypto or NFTs. They have zero understanding of this space, what it is, and they're trying to govern it off of policies that were set 50, 60 years ago.
I agree, and I think it's really important for these policymakers to engage with the stakeholders in the space. So not just the artists, that's really important too, but the investors and the collectors, to get a really balanced view of everything, because I think it's a really fine line between regulation and stifling innovation. which is definitely something that we don't want. And then I also think watching the market. I wonder how much they watch the market. So, thanks. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite questions. So, what role does education play in fostering a more diverse and inclusive NFT market?
So NFTs and diversity, as I said before too, I think that what this space is doing, it's creating a chemistry that was never present before in our reality, and I think that as we come together as a Web3 community and we keep building and synergizing, we're creating an engagement aspect of things that, as I said, in this way we've never seen before. It's breaking down the barriers of different, whatever classes, whatever race, whatever it is. We're able to come together on this topic or on this theme or on this technology and just go all in and work and build and spend hours, countless time, invest whatever we're doing. And I think that as we continue to spread that into the real world, into the world of Web 2 or just normal everyday life, as we continue to build and as we continue to interact with people, they'll notice that there's something different about that person, and that may be the Web 3 engagement piece about them. Because yes, it's a different feel when you come to like a NFT.NYC versus a conference somewhere else that's outside of Web 3, because we are on this mission of onboarding the world to this space. And as we go towards with a single mind and a single goal, I think that that unity is going to show itself and could be able to solve problems that we've dealt with in the real world for a long time. So I think that as we continue to innovate and build together, the technology is bringing us together in a way that we weren't able or we weren't doing before. And I see that as one of the ways that it's going to harness inclusivity and bring opportunities to people who weren't able to, the banking the unbanked, things like that, reaching people that haven't been able to reach before using this technology. I think that is going to open up doors, open up windows into like new realms that we haven't visited before.
Absolutely, I would agree. It opens up to sort of a broad range of different cultures to allow to be represented. Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you both said, and not to just sound like I'm echoing that, but to add on to it, is when you think about being able to reach all these places, people have access to create things, build value, and extract value without having to deal with all these giant centralized systems that basically sucked a lot of the money out. You think about musicians, right? Most musicians that did make it big, most of them, let's just say, don't make the money people think they do because it's the label. And now you can have direct access to your community. You can drop to your community. But even in these areas, like when he mentioned, banking the unbanked, there's areas in the world where people just didn't have access or the financial means. They had great ideas, whether it's art, whether it's creation, whether it's invention, that most of those ideas and creations died died in the person that had that thought or that vision because they never had the means to bring it to market. And this technology has the potential to give them a voice, give them an avenue to be able to create that without all these gated controls that are out there that only favor the few or only favor certain people that are in the industry. Anybody has equal access, and we need to keep providing those tools and working on just spreading the mission outside of those areas, because there's areas in the world today that really need this a lot more than just us. They need to understand how they can benefit from us, and by driving adoption there, it's going to happen here as well. But there's a lot of people in the U.S. and U.K. and others look at NFTs and even crypto in general as just a speculative investment. But there's so much more than that. When you talk to someone that's lived in these countries that's benefited from, say, just having access to Bitcoin, like there was an attorney I met in Venezuela. There was an Uber driver from Zimbabwe that sent money back to his mom through Bitcoin because their money was basically worthless. And it's the same thing when you look at all of the Web3 technologies, the access, being able to, you know, anyone can just connect their wallet and interact. That's what it's giving us a huge benefit to where we can see things that have come out in this world. Like basically invention and acceleration of tech is going to happen a lot faster because more people have means.
And I think access is really the key word here: access to information, access to resources, and making more equal opportunity in that way. I also think I have to say about community, I think that creating communities where you can sort of foster the sense of curiosity and allow people to gather together and feel supported in what they're learning. I'm a big believer in community, so I always have to kind of mention that. And then, yeah, so just to kind of turn this question on its head a little bit, so I'm curious about ways that we can use NFTs for education. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Education. So with the tokenization of everything, that kind of spells it out. So, you know, you could tokenize anything right now and put it on the blockchain, and I think that's where everything is going. In a few months or so, I think we're going to start tokenizing the stock market, and everything is pretty much going to be an NFT or the NFT technology. And when it comes to certifications from schools, when it comes to textbooks, whatever it is, it's all going to be NFTs. And we're able to reach people in different ways now. And having that technology, you're saving time and space. So you're not going to probably need the books you have on the shelf anymore, but you're going to be able to have portals you log into with your wallets and have your courses. I have I worked with the Galaxy platform before I came here this year at NFT.NYC, and I did a couple courses on there where I was able to qualify myself in the Web3 space by doing courses online through portals like that. So I see that as future universities and the future of like learning, and how you could not need a big amount of money to learn a lot. So it's gonna be able to solve those problems.
Yeah, Wayne, thoughts?
Yeah, on top of that, I would just say just these community events where you're doing minting parties, onboarding new people. You don't have to tell them they're getting an NFT. Just I've got this collectible that's scarce. I've only created 100. I'm giving away to the first 100 people, and then afterwards they realize, oh crap, that's an NFT, and then adding some way that they could use it. So there's some projects that are doing that, minting parties, things like that. Actually, right before this talk, Articulate here was telling me about Galaxy, and I went to talk to the booth downstairs about what they're doing. Anything that we can do to work together, and then also educating on that B2B level where we're getting more brands involved. When Top Shot started doing NFTs, my neighbor that I've been talking to for years about this space finally called me up. He's a big sports nut, want to know more about NFTs.
That's what it took.
Yeah, that's what it took. I've got friends that are like they'll die if they don't have access to Starbucks, and now Starbucks is doing their program. That opened the door, and we just had a conversation right before this about MasterCard has partnered with some musicians to do an NFT project,
Yes, yeah,
kind
I
of like
heard about
NFT
that.
onboarding, and that's just more validation to the space where everybody's got to do their part. Small community meetups where you're onboarding new people, the large brands that are getting into space, and they're not doing it just to be noble. Let's face it, they understand like MasterCard, credit card charges are going to be, it's going to become less and less necessary. I mean, even as much as I hate the idea of central bank digital currencies, they can cut out credit card companies, right? So they're trying to find their way into space so they don't have what I call the blockbuster effect, where they mock
R.I.P.
technology and then they're gone when they get replaced.
R.I.P. Blockbuster. Guys, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Do you guys want to let everybody know where they can find you if they want to find you online or your work, Aaron?
Yes, you could find me everywhere: streaming platforms, social media, ARTIKYOUL, and the number 8 to articulate. And yeah, connect. Let's connect.
Wayne?
And myself, pretty much on all the platforms, I go by Blockchain Wayne. I've podcasted under that name for years. So if you search on any platform, you'll find me there.
That's brilliant. All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
What about you?
Oh, yeah, me.
All right.